host Eric, host Talking with Thin People, and we're talking subtypes and socionics with basement Overlord and Hami. Hami was saying he's the poo-loving subtype, right? Or did I get that wrong? No, basement Overlord, you were saying about
spot on.
Subtypes about ISTPs, the TI versus the SE subtype. Please describe the difference.
Well, I'll preface it by talking about just the general overview of subtypes, is that each type in socionics values their first function more, or they value their second function a bit. The people who value their second function more still value their first function the most, but they put a bit more emphasis on their second function. So for ISTPs, the SE subtypes are going to be more the ones that you see Myers-Briggs stereotyping, which are the athletic ones. You know, that are the quiet, guarded ones that are really into sports. Those are the SE subtypes. But they don't really talk about the TI subtypes of ISTPs, which is the more intellectual subtypes. They can be more intellectually inclined. Like those, a lot of those are engineers. They're like really good at math because they have that introvert thinking and like that extrovert sensing to see, you know, a lot of these engineering problems.
I think I know an SE subtype. I think I know an SE subtype, by the way. Go ahead, Hami. Sorry.
The thing is, like, the TI subtype, if you don't know them all, you might actually think that they're an INTP.
Yeah, and that was to me. You know, I thought I was an INTP for an entire year. And then, you know, people helped me out. I realized I was actually an ISTP. I don't have the extrovert intuition.
Well, I know that type you described. It was interesting you said that. I immediately thought about my good friend Dave Porter's brother, Paul Porter, who is very much exactly what you said described. Guarded, good at sports, interested in physical stuff, not taking risks, you know.
Well, that might be the extrovert sensing. Well, okay. M. King Killa is in ISTP, apparently SE. And then I would be a TI ISTP. So there's sort of the difference there. I'm more.
Who's M. King Killa?
He's this YouTuber. He makes a few videos. He's an ISTP. But he's SE. He's SE ISTP.
Is he polite?
Yeah. He seems like a nice guy in his videos.
Interesting.
ISTPs are polite in general because they have that role FI.
Like the INTP.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
And the difference between so the difference between subtypes is that the subtypes that value their first function also value all of their. Like, okay, so if you're an introvert and you value your dominant function as an introvert, you're going to have more strength in all of your introvert functions, I think. Whereas, or actually, I might be getting it wrong. The point is, like, each of the subtypes, I can't remember exactly, but each of the subtypes has more strength in half of their functions.
Interesting. Well, let's see. I would guess I'm an NE subtype of ENTP or a TI subtype. What do you think?
I would say any subtype.
Yeah, I'd probably agree, just based on, you know, how you talk and how you handle your YouTube channel.
Right. I do like a mix of a lot of different stuff. It's not all intellectual stuff, right?
And what I know is NE subtype ENTPs are more powerful in their extrovert feeling, whereas TI subtypes are more powerful in their introvert sensing. And I think you're more powerful in extrovert feeling.
I agree
than
for
other
sure.
ENTPs.
I agree for sure that I favor those two over the introverted ones. So
yeah. Whereas,
go ahead.
Well, yeah. Okay. For me, like, I value TI and NI a bit more than SE and FE. You know, of course, I value TI and SE the most, but you know, compared to a really heavy SE subtype ISTP, they value SE and FE, so they'd be more like the partiers or the people who play a lot of sports and stuff.
I see. So can you tell us about subtypes of like an ESFP? I'd be curious to hear about that. You're looking at somebody with an SE subtype of an ESFP is going to be more like, I guess, athletic or something, and then the FI subtype be more artistic, or what?
Well, here's the thing that Myers-Briggs, I don't think covers this as much as they should, and it's that ESFPs can actually be incredibly competitive, and not necessarily in sports, but just they can be competitive people, because they have that SE dominant. You know, I don't think a lot of people know that about ESFPs. They're really competitive. So I think an SE ESFP would be particularly competitive, whereas an FI might be, probably what you said, like more artistically inclined.
I would guess that JC is the FI subtype of ESFP.
Yeah. Yeah, she doesn't. I have a really hard time typing like women, like females, like in Myers-Briggs, because it's a bit different with the whole gender norms. You know, females are less, I guess, inclined to be competitive, like, you know, males are. But
I think they're more crafted. I think they're more crafted in general in their public displays. So it makes them harder to type because they're more careful and they're less revelatory of how they maybe reflexively would act if they weren't so constrained.
Yeah, because, for example, male ESFPs, and I know this across the board, every ESFP I've met and seen self-typed as ESFP, they want to be the leader of their friend group. They want to feel like they're the leader of their friend group. I think Socionics typed Julius Caesar as an ESFP.
Well, you know, it sounds to me like ESFP would have serious problems with ENFJ, because ENFJ wants that too.
I think, ENFJ for the most part wants that harmonious relations, but their hidden agenda is extrovert sensing, so they do want some of that control. Like Hitler was pretty, you know, he was an ENFJ example.
They like the badges and symbols of status and hierarchy. ENFJs do.
Yeah, I think all betas do in general. All betas want that position.
Yeah, I had to learn to stop mocking those things like titles and stuff as irrelevant and unimportant, because it mattered to Abraham a lot whether I called him director or something else.
That's a good example.
I realized that, you know, okay, it mattered to him, so you need to take it seriously too, you know?
Yeah, I think betas in general, they have that TI and that SE. They want defined positions and defined roles for what they do. It's like they want to know, for me personally, I want to know what my next upward rank can be, you know, versus if it's all just a bunch of people doing different things, it's harder to define that.
Well, you know, one of the main things I consider Quadruple.com ought to be doing is giving out karate-style belts in self-development.
Oh,
so
I see.
You can get a brown belt in self-development, in actualization. I'm a brown belt. I'm a brown belt in the martial arts school of self-actualization, or a black belt. You know, a 7th class black belt.
Yeah.
I'm an elite class
I totally
black
agree.
and red belt.
You could level up. It's like a gamification. That's popular nowadays. Gamifying everything.
Yeah. Gamify your self-actualization. Okay, so that's good advice for monetizing Quadruple.com. Thanks, Patient Overlord. Beyond the monetization of Quadruple.com, do we have other things to say about this topic of subtypes that we're wrapping up here, or somewhat deviating from?
Yeah, from what I read, at least for INTJs, the NI subtype usually stereotypically the dreamer, I guess.
Yeah.
And the T subtype usually comes off as like an ENTJ.
Yeah.
Like they're usually like when you read the descriptions of INTJs, it's usually based on the TE subtype, the self-confident
So which one do you
type
think
that
you
is
are, Hami?
I would say right now an NI subtype, but when I was younger, definitely it's TE subtype.
Interesting.
And I think also for
I know about a lot.
ENTJs, yeah, for ENTJs, in Myers-Briggs, they're talking about the TE ENTJs. I think Chad Crandall is a TE subtype of ENTJ. He's kind of the stereotypical ENTJ, where he's really business oriented, wants to get stuff done, wants to be productive. And then there's the NI ENTJs, like what Hami was talking about, a bit more dreamer, a bit more, I guess, visionary, a bit more impractical, though, you know?
Yeah.
Like
So like the NI
Kunkel.
subtype.
Kunkel's
would
an
be
NI
like-
subtype.
Yeah. So the NI subtype would be like the philosopher or like the professor, while the TE subtype would be like the businessman.
Yeah.
and,
Politician.
and in fact, Kunkel talks about wanting to become a director of a college competition speech program as his goal. So that would fit perfectly with what you just said about the NI subtype of ENTJ.
Oh, and
Yeah.
also for the INT subtype, I've read that the TI subtype is like I don't know, it comes off as like an INTJ, like they're very serious.
Yeah,
And
serious.
they're they're very like combative and like very confrontational.
Wait, you said INTP?
Yeah, the INTP TI subtype.
I wouldn't say confrontational because their SE is just garbage, but it's almost like they. I wouldn't, maybe not proactively confrontational, but like
Yeah,
they're
I'm
not
talking
going to be
physically,
messed.
but verbally.
They're not going to be like they don't want people to mess with them, but they're not
Yeah.
going to go out and like mess with other people.
What do you think about the TI version of the ENTP? How would they be?
And ENTPs?
I'm sorry, say again. The TI ENTP, would they be more like
Well-
an INTP in general?
Yeah, they would be a lot more serious. And
Well, maybe not serious. Well, serious. And I think the TI ENTP will be more focused on their projects and like more the productive side of their versus with the people involved. I don't know if that exactly is the case, but
I think it just means they're not as good as getting their merry on. That's all it means. They're supposed to be merry, but they're less merry.
yeah, they're more they're the more intellectual ENTPs.
yeah, like a TI subtype, someone like that.
You cut out, Hami. Could you repeat that?
A TI subtype ENTP would be someone like Henry Kissinger.
Oh, right. I hate Henry Kissinger.
So you must not be the same type as him, right?
Maybe, I don't know. I
That's
think
how it works.
I think there are occasions when I seem more TI-ish, but overall I'm definitely the NE subtype. When I do seem more
Yeah.
TI-ish, maybe when I'm like... See, even when I'm doing really TI stuff, like the big cases, unless I'm doing it in isolation, which sometimes I do, but rarely. Usually I do it with somebody else, and it's precisely because I like the NEFE thing a lot better than the TISI thing.
And you're a 7, so I mean, being a 7, you're probably more inclined to be the NE subtype too. Whereas me as a 5 and Hami as a 5, we're probably more likely to be the introverted subtypes.
Right. Okay, well, I think that seems like a good ending point for this video, and I suspect for the evening session as well. So thank you very much to Basement Overlord for being a featured guest in this evening's episodes, and for Hami for chiming in as well. Always appreciate the input of from the INTJ perspective and the ISTP perspective. There's not quite so many of those ISTPs out there making videos as there are NTPs and some of the other types. NFPs are prevalent as well, I've noticed. So great to have you all here, and great to have you watching at home as well. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.